Hey guys, welcome back to the YouTube channel. Now, one of the things that I've spent a major part of my week doing really is having conversations with immigrants. We're having immigrants to immigrants conversations, especially for those of us who are still on a temporary visa. When I say temporary visa, skilled worker visa, global talent visa, innovator founder visa, dependent visa, just to mention a few. And I've had a conversation with a few people who are these different visa categories I just mentioned, and the conversation, especially for those of us who have got family, who have got kids, who are married, those who have got kids and who don't have kids yet, and the conversation basically is what do we do as a family to ensure that we're able to plan for the future, obviously, and also being able to ensure that we're making a decision that impacts us on a positive as immigrant living and working here in the United Kingdom. And one of the conversations that has really stood out is majorly around dependent visa. Now, what do dependents do to ensure that we kind of a way protect ourselves from any major changes in immigration policies, and how we get, or if one of the main applicants lost their license to sponsor. So I'm going to give a very practical example. So I had a chat with someone during the course of the week. The wife works as an healthcare worker, while the husband was also working in care, but joined one of our trainings for data analytics role, and was able to get a data analyst job. And by the way, if you're someone who is looking at transitioning into data, you're in care, you have zero knowledge, zero background of data, and you're looking at getting a job that gives you more flexibility, being able to work from home for childcare purpose or for convenience, whatever reason you're looking at transitioning into data analytics, we've got the training starting on the 10th of January 2026, and it's a 6 weeks intensive training. We do have the live sessions every Saturdays and Sundays from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. and all the sessions are recorded, so if you need to be at work one of those sessions, you can always watch the video to catch up. And on the training, we expose you to things like advanced Excel to VB and macro level, SQL, Power BI, SSIS, just to mention a few. We also get to work on your CV for you. You get UK work experience added to your CV, and you get some support with creating your project portfolio. And when you get your first interview, we also prepare you for that interview. That's everything that actually comes with the training. So if you're looking at getting into data and you're clueless on how to go about it, just send an email to info@techdriveuk.com or send us a WhatsApp message on the number displayed on your screen right now. Trust me, you don't have to go through the hassle of applying for jobs, learning on your own, and struggling to land interviews. You get adequate support to moving from where you are to where you're supposed to be. So this was what the husband leveraged on. So we did the training a couple of months ago, and he landed a data analyst job. And one of the things they decided to do as a family was that even though the wife was on a visa, now going on a data analyst role is going to be a bit financially draining for the family, because if they go on a data analyst role, it means that they've got to pay IHS fee, they've got to pay all of those other stuffs that comes with being on the skilled worker visa. So what they did was that the husband got a job, even though the company was offering sponsorship. The job role actually met the requirement for sponsorship. He didn't take the sponsorship. However, he has rightly positioned himself in such a way that if anything happens to the wife's sponsorship, they can always switch to that visa, even though it has lots of negative impact. But it's just a way to be able to keep the family protected and secured in a way when it comes to UK immigration policy. Now, we said this months ago jokingly that it's a good thing that you got a job that can offer sponsorship. You met all the requirements, ticked all the box. I think the salary was about £43,000, and he met all the requirements. Basically, it's a full-time, it's a permanent role. And we said those things jokingly a couple of months ago, and that was it. Only for us to have a chat, we had a chat last week. And it was like, hey Dan, what we discussed the other time, the fear actually eventually came to pass. The wife's sponsor had an issue with the Home Office. So this also happened. The many of the workers with the employer were not getting enough jobs. So many of them started applying for other organizations. They got offers elsewhere that took over their sponsorship, and that raised a red flag with the Home Office that why are so many employees leaving this particular company. So they started digging, they contacted the employer, raised a lot of questions and all of that. And after all of the whole back and forth to the Home Office, the employer finally informed them that they've just lost their license, and every one of them, I mean all the employees with the sponsor, would lose their rights to work and live in the UK. And that was it. And for me, I think it's really not fair, because when things like this happen, it has minimal impact on the employer, which I think the Home Office needs to look into this. These employers also need to be fined. These employers also need to go through some hardship when things like this happen. So this employer would lose their license, but they're still going to be able to work. They're still going to be able to carry their business, go on with their business, while employees that work with them get to, face the heat of the mistake of the employer. Anyway, now to cut the long story short, they eventually lost their right to work in the UK. Now, but because of the conversation we had months ago that he should stick with the job, and they've told him that if he needs sponsorship, he can always let them know, and they're going to issue him a COS. And that was the saving grace we had. So the moment the whole saga happened, we wrote an email to the HR where he works right now, and surprisingly, in less than 24 hours, we got a response, and a certificate of sponsorship was issued. And we had to apply for the skilled worker visa. We're still waiting to hear from the Home Office. Now, the exciting thing about this is that, luckily for them, they've just spent about 18 months on the health and care visa. Now, even though they will have to start counting their, years to settlement all over again, the most important thing is that they had something to fall back on. There was a buffer, which if they had not, taken up that role, if they also had not gotten the data analyst role, they would have been a massive, a very confusing situation right now. Looking for sponsorship, the wife having to, of course, it came with a lot of, sacrifice, like they had to pay HS fee for a family of 3. It was a lot of financial implication, but luckily for them also, they had an emergency funds that they had, planned for situations like this in case it happened. So that's why I'm, making this video to actually, let dependents know, especially for those who are on dependent visa, that even though your partner is the one who is being sponsored, that doesn't mean that you can also get a good job that can protect you. I've got a few friends I've had a chat with, and many of them are doing very well, because being a dependent, you have no business doing a permanent job for a role you're not interested in. I've seen people who are dependent and they're working full-time as healthcare workers. If that's not what you want to do, you shouldn't be doing that full-time. You should be doing that on, a part-time basis while you make an attempt to getting into the field of your interest. That's where this whole data analytics thing comes into the picture. If you're a dependent and you're looking for a professional role, please start pursuing that professional role. Don't take up a permanent role as a warehouse operative. Nah, that's not what you should be doing. You should be doing that part-time while you focus on trying to get into your space. And the cool thing is that even as a part-time worker, you probably even earn more than people who work full-time, because you have the chance to choose how you want to work and plan your work basically. So yeah, if you're dependent, please try as much as possible to focus on your career. And I've seen people who I had someone that had similar situation, but for them, it wasn't a skilled worker visa. The partner has been building himself whilst they are on the health and care visa with the wife's visa. And when they had issue with the employer, the husband has been able to build enough evidence to applying for global talent, and that's what they did. They switched on the global talent visa. So yeah, there's so many ways to actually ensure that being a dependent, you're valuable in a way, in terms of you well positioned for sponsorship in case anything happened to the main applicant's rights to live and work in the UK. I hope you find this video useful. If you do, click on the like button. If you have any questions, state those questions in the comment section. And if you're coming across my channel for the first time, do also hit on the subscribe button to join the amazing Go family. And my returning subscribers, thank you guys for being here. I really do appreciate you guys. So this will be the end of the video, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Thank you.